Hi, welcome to the first episode of 35. I'm Coby and I'm the host. We'll be talking about film photography in Singapore, its relevance, and how we're gonna advocate and keep film alive in this space, in this time and age where we're at. And today I have with me Venus, Joel, Haikal. Hi guys.
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm the founder of the Film Initiative, and Haikal's the co-founder. And Joel and Venus, they're our film friends as well, so we'd like to welcome them. And yeah, this is basically our first ever episode. And throughout this, we hope that the other episodes to come, you all will find it meaningful. And hopefully for those that want to get into film photography, this will be helpful. So, okay, we're gonna start with like an open discussion on the reasons why we shoot film. So I think we'll start with Joel. Joel, why do you shoot film?
I think for me, right, the reason why, whenever people ask me why I should film, the reason it would be there is a much slower process, and then just the whole tactile experience of shooting with film. You load the film, you open the canister, and then you load the film, and then you have to wind. So every time you take a shot, you have to wind the shutter, and then the sound is just different. For me, it's the experience, the whole experience of shooting. And then, basically you slow down yourself, and then you interact more with my subjects. Like for me, whenever I shoot people, I will, basically slow down and then talk to them more than I'm like framing. So most of the time, I'm actually talking to them, finding out about them, what they do, what they, what's their work about, and then in between the talks, I would just take a shot here and there. I think with digital, I feel very tempted to just like fire away and then never like really interact with the subject. Yeah, so that's why I shoot film lah. And the whole process of waiting for a while before you actually see your images, and beyond that, like printing out your photos as well.
Right. Yeah. There's something like tangible.
Yeah. Instead of like, okay, send email, send to the client, then they're like, okay, good job. Instead you print out and then you'll be like, oh, here's for this photo for
it
you.
makes for a nice gift as well.
Yeah. It's a very different experience lah.
How about you, Venus?
I think I talked about it with you earlier, and it's like a whole experience, same as him, like a whole experience rather than shooting on digital. Like on film, you have to wait for development, scanning, and you see the results. And while you're shooting, you're also interacting with the models. Just same kind of reasons. Yeah.
How about you, Haikal?
I shot film because my favorite photographers did, and I'm a big fan of like analog stuff. So anything vintage, anything like from vintage cars or vintage vinyl. I'm a big fan of it. Yeah.
A bit more old school and
old
just,
school.
Keeping it real and
keeping it real. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I got into film, and I got it into films like when I was like secondary 2, secondary 3.
Oh wow, that's young.
You shoot
That's
film longer than
Yeah,
all of us.
Technically longer than all of us.
Yeah, I pretty much began photography. I began shooting with film. I learned my first camera was an M6. So
Oh, first camera M6 already, yeah.
yeah, I kind of have to beg my parents for it.
Because you were young, right?
Yeah,
I guess your
and
parents saw that you wanted to
know-
shoot film, so why not? Here's a nice film
Yeah.
camera. Yeah, that's really interesting. I think the reason why I shoot film is that, you see, like a lot of times I ask people this question, and the first thing I always get is, it slows them down. Yeah, it's very true, it does. And like now, every time I think about it, it's like, yeah, it slows me down as well. But I think besides that, if anything, it feels more intentional. Like, have a specific purpose, and I feel like, I feel like it's worthy. Like, it's worthy to use film or like something a bit more precious on a subject or something that you find meaningful, because like the intention is there. Then as compared to like digital photography, which is faster. That's hugely and part of the reason why I do. And also the next reason is perhaps because I have, throughout my journey shooting film, I have been introduced to many wonderful people and like exceptional creatives, whether they're just beginning or they've been shooting film for a while, or like the people who help us, like like Lutfi, and like Lutfi who evidently like has helped people start get along with their film journey and whatnot. So yeah, it's really all about the community and making friends. So I think that is one of the huge pluses to why I shoot film lah. Yeah, but don't get me wrong. I also shoot digital, like when it calls for.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think at the end of the day, that's like.
Yeah, you shoot what you need.
Right.
For
it's
the
a
purpose.
tool.
Yeah.
I think whatever you feel like shooting, that's the best
Yeah.
one.
Definitely shouldn't restrict yourself to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to shoot, but it doesn't really make sense. Like in some situations.
Yeah. That's
I wouldn't shoot my camera in like events,
yeah.
and it's just different.
I wouldn't shoot like colored film like at night or like.
Why?
I mean, I would shoot it at night, as in colored film. So that's how I'm trying to phrase it right. Like, oh shit, better don't say anything wrong. But like, I mean, don't shoot like films like low ISO films for like. I don't know. What would I not shoot film for? Let me think. Yeah. Okay. Events.
Yeah.
That's like
That's
what
the thing. That's the one that everyone goes to. Yeah. Events. Wonder how those people always used to shoot events back in the day.
Right. I've shot film for an event before, and I only brought 4 rolls of film. I can tell you that it was never enough. I think halfway through I was like panicking. I'm like, oh no, I'm running out of film. What do I do? Yeah, but so yeah, I guess each of us, we have many reasons why we shoot film and what contributes to that. And like I always say, to each their own, and really, yeah. So I would like to just share a little bit more, like do an introduction to the Film Initiative team, and what is our motivation to keep film alive, and how we want to strive and work towards a community based in Singapore. So I mean, Joel, you've been with TFI for a little while now, and remember when we did our first big project, which was the one at Singapore Art Book Fair, and like we kind of realized like, oh hey, actually film photography like has a following in Singapore, and like people actually like are interested or like genuinely want to know what film is and like how to go about doing it.
A lot of people shoot film. When during the art book fair, there was like so many people. We just counted every single one. I think, but most of them were like kids lah, which was quite interesting because you expect like the older generation to be more nostalgic,
right?
To shoot. But I guess like, if you never had it in your life and then it suddenly comes back, and then it's just more interesting, I guess. And then you see a lot of kids, actually I'm the oldest around here, I think.
No, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm the oldest. Yeah, but a lot of kids are shooting film, which I think is kind of cool because, I grew up with film until I was like in primary school, so it wasn't that foreign to me. But some of these people are shooting film even before. Film was around before even they, they never experienced film before in their childhood,
right?
Which was kind of interesting. And then you see people returning to film after many years and developing like photos in their camera rolls, which has been in their, the photos in their camera rolls that have been in their camera for like ages, and then they talk about their experience, which is kind of nice. Yeah. So
that's one of the whole point about TFI when we first started, when Haikal and I, and together with you as well, was to really create a community of specifically, at first it was like specifically catered to the younger demographics, like young people, right? Like try and like get them together.
I'd say like 90% of our
Yeah. And then along the way, I think like it just became like, oh, we have a group already. Let's just welcome everyone. It just started like it's just standing outside Triple D. Like, oh look, some guy with a film camera. Oh, nice film camera. They want to join TFI, that kind of thing. And like so I guess the goal was always to make like a cohesive community.
Cohesive.
And like just everyone just come together, go out, shoot, do photo walks. Talk about film and whatnot.
back when photo walks were a thing.
Yeah, back when photo walks were a thing. And I think like the motivation to keep TFI going really comes from the fact that we have a lot of young interested members. Yeah, so we just hope like we can just keep pushing content and just exactly like what you said, like continue to motivate those that are interested, and they will go out and shoot film.
Definitely a lot of there are a lot of guides online, but they're not really specific to Singapore. So it's nice if you have, let's say, someone you can ask about where you develop film, where you print your photos, where you get film, where you get cameras, in a local context. I think that's important. And then, a lot of times it's not just a practical thing. You also kind of like build friendships after hanging out for some time, and then you'll find similar interests, similar things that you're passionate about, and then you guys become friends.
I think that's like saying even how like you know Venus because like through film photography, you go for day and whatnot.
Yeah, and I know Joel through photography.
Yeah.
So
I think film brings people together, and I think it's a very interesting binding
True.
You can like meet all sorts of people.
I think
I think it's like very nice when you have a Telegram group.
Exactly,
Then whenever I
yeah.
need something like
you know where to go.
where
right?
to go. Like I ask the group, and everyone just like,
True.
I can go here. And
Yeah,
there.
that was pretty nice as well. And like I had like my closest friends I made was from the film initiative.
Oh, thanks,
Yeah.
buddy. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's really nice, you know.
And I think now, like with with all of us, and like we're growing up, and like we're going into like the working industry, and we have something to look forward to on weekends, like shooting film with one another. And I think it really kind of motivates us and inspires us. And if anything at all, it is therapy to our soul. Like photography is, it is therapeutic, right? So for me, film photography is lah, and that is why I continue to like pack my weekends with anything that's film related. Yeah. So Venus, like in terms of like film, right? Like, I know you kind of shoot like more colored film and stuff like that. And in terms of like the film community in Singapore, I mean, do you have any like opinions on like maybe how it can be better, or what we can do in order to like advocate for film?
I think like right now we are growing a lot in terms of like there's so many members coming in, and then I think like right now a lot of young people are shooting on film, so I think it's a good thing. Like they are just like trying out like using disposable films. It's a nice thing to learn, and right now I think almost all the millennials are using film, so yeah, I think it's growing. It's like everyone's using it now, so I think it's a good thing. Yeah.
How about you, Joe? What do you think?
For me, I think for me, since I talked about like printing out your photos and giving it to people, and basically the physical aspect of it. Because I think a lot of people are shooting film, but they're just uploading it on Instagram or wherever they upload lah. But printing it completes the experience, I feel. Even if you're just printing like small prints, like 4R, you can print it up, put on your wall, give people. I mean, for me personally, I really enjoy it, and I think that's one thing that we can sort of try to promote, the culture of printing stuff, making zines. I think because when you mentioned about film photography being more intentional, right? It can be beyond social media, social media, right? So I think that's something we can work on. Definitely try to have more projects where it's not all digital.
Right.
Because you're shooting film, but then it goes digital.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think like even like from what I know is that you even do have like film exchanges or like print exchange with some of your friends, right?
Yeah.
That
So
you'll do
some
sometimes.
one of the things that one of the film guys in the group did was he organized a very small group, 5 or 6 people. Not now, not 6 now, but back then when it was acceptable. So we basically just print out our photos, and then we talk about the photos and talk about what we want to sort of achieve with the photos, and then we'll give each other feedback on like how we can do this better, how we can sort of say what you want to say better, and then at the end of the day, everybody exchanges their prints, and then I think that's a very nice experience. And then now just in my house, there's a wall of prints from different people, which I think is really nice. And throughout my travels, when I travel, I tend to meet film photographers from other countries as well, and then they like to send me prints, and then every year end I will send my prints to them as well. So that's a very nice experience that I think everybody should try at least once.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know you prior to COVID, of course, you used to travel a lot. And like I know every year you would probably go to like 2 or sometimes even 3 places, right? Different countries, or you would just take a train to somewhere, like a really long train ride, and you would document your journey and and all that, and we'll definitely share like some photos of that and the print exchanges of that with your friend. But like, how would you feel like COVID has limited you in terms of expressing yourself? Because you are like technically a travel photographer, and then now with this,
I think when you're restricted, right, you tend to look inward more, not just in like places you can go, but also the people. I mean, recently I was very lucky to have been working with like a local brands and then meeting artists as well, and like talking about them about their art and discovering about Singapore art in general, where it's very underrepresented, and then you get to meet these people behind the art that you see all around Singapore. I think in that sense, I've been very lucky because I could meet these people and then talk to them and photograph them, really take my time and photograph them. They've been very nice people. So I think in terms of that, it's not restrictive, but I still wish that I can experience a different part of the world, because I think that's what happens when you travel, right? You kind of experience the world with different eyes.
Yes. Haikal as well. I mean, you've had the privilege of leaving the country and going overseas to study as well, and then shooting a lot in Dolomites, if I understand right, and you go hiking in the mountains, and it's beautiful lah. So I mean, how would you feel like? And I'm sure you've met up with film creatives overseas as well, right?
Yeah, I do.
So how do you feel like the community here, as compared to Europe, is a bit different?
Oh, it's different because I mean, if you're talking about size, then Europe is way bigger, and Singapore, the community here is very close knitted, and if you want to meet someone, you can just schedule a meeting literally anytime.
Usually over tea.
Yeah, over tea. That's what we do. That's pretty much how TFI started. But in Europe, actually, the film labs are located very far from each other. So I was living in the Netherlands and I was living in Groningen. A film lab just popped up, and the guy who founded the film lab was he was like a 70-year-old guy, and he was retired, and then he started his own film lab.
Nice.
Yeah, complete with a dark room, and he just bought a new car.
It's the one you would go to,
yeah,
right? The one you were telling me about.
Yeah, the one I usually go to.
What's the name?
It's Foto Argenta.
Damn.
I don't know how to spell
I'm not
it,
gonna
but
pronounce it.
I'll get you. Get me
it's
the
a
link.
Dutch. Yeah, it's a Dutch thing, and basically, but before that, I was actually sending my film to Belgium and to Germany, because that's where the labs, legit pro labs are located, and they're not they only accept mail-ins. Or the one in Belgium, you can just go there and send, drop it off there. But the one in Germany is just it's in the middle of a village, so yeah, it's pretty much.
But these labs and okay, so I understand because of the size and how Europe's so huge, but then also it just makes it it's the developing processes are they've got more variants, right?
Yeah.
ECNs and E6, but it's just that because it's broadly wide apart, then it's not as convenient, but at the same time it's convenient, not convenient.
The good thing, the most convenient part is that their service is top notch. Really, they actually they will ask you what color you want, what type of color profile you want, and that's just the difference. I'm sure there is I think it's a good thing. On the topic of film community as well, it's a good thing that more businesses are popping out these days, hands-on film, and then grains and such, and then
more independent film labs in Singapore as well,
and then you have Darkroommate in Malaysia, and then you have
Wampa as well here. Uncle is very supportive.
And in Jakarta, there's a few that I send whenever I'm in the area, and I just send it to Jakarta as well.
But I just feel the film technology in Singapore can definitely be better, and in time to come, hopefully with all the people that continue to shoot film, and the aunties and uncles that are very supportive of us young people shooting and going back to them, eventually we become better. And
true. And you were asking about how can we improve this film community, and that's one of the things the reason why there are new businesses, the reason why film is popping out again, it's on trend and it's in trend to shoot film.
Yeah.
Everyone's picking up film again. Is because there's infrastructure for it. Like there's film labs, new film labs everywhere. In like let's say in Europe, in like my city, it's a small city.
Yeah.
So there's a new film lab there, and then like in Jakarta, there was like like a few just popped out recently. They were established recently. That's what we need, like people to take risk and just go spend
A
some
bit scarier,
capital.
but because like Singapore
totally,
like very expensive, then rent
I totally get it. I mean, in Singapore, we have this very risk-averse mindset, especially when it comes to business. It's just that there will always be a market for it.
Okay.
But it's just that
I'm waiting for your film shop.
Whoever's willing to take the risk.
Waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, whoever's willing to take the risk, I think just go for it. And then like you're doing like the greater good for the community. You're doing the greater good for like
So
everyone.
now speaking of this, I feel that we've come to a point in time where we have a large number of individuals shooting film, and we have a, like what you said, kind of a tight-knit community, right? I think like if an independent film lab comes up, like our friends over at Hands On Film, episode 3 guys, definitely we will just funnel our friends in, because like we just want to support one another, right, and just help each other. And so I guess that is also part of like our goal and motivation over at TFI.
Yeah.
So moving forward, Joel, so okay, about your work and how you travel, what is like your next project, or what are you looking forward to? Whether it be next year or your plans to when the world has healed and you're ready to travel. I don't know, share with us.
The world has healed. I think the world needs some healing right now. But no, I think currently, I've been just... So I got my camera, this 672, earlier this year. And then this year I was hoping to be more intentional with my like photography, right? Sort of having a plan and then executing the plan, instead of reactionary photography where I just walk the streets and see anything comes to me or not. So, that has been great. Earlier part of this year, before everything happened, I was very lucky and I managed to travel to Malaysia, KL and Bangkok. And over there I reached out to different artists, and then like paper cutters, graphic designers, pottery makers, and then I just reached out to them, talked to them, find out about what they do and what their brand is about, and photograph them and give them the photos. This is just a passion project of mine. I'm not paid or anything, but it's very fun meeting these people, and then we exchange ideas, because I think one shouldn't be so limited in terms of photography. You shouldn't just be, okay, I want to start photography, I want to be good at photography, I'm just going to consume all the photography content. You should expand your horizons and talk to different people, talk to a writer, talk to a barista, for example.
Right.
They have different ideas, and you can sort of play off each other. And that has been very interesting for me. And I was very lucky because I was traveling for 3 weeks, and I managed to photograph 10 individuals, which was very fun. Like there's a lot of rejection as well. A lot of people that reached out didn't sort of reciprocate, but overall it was a very productive trip. And then back in Singapore, when I arrived back in Singapore, I was like, that was very fun. So I wanted to continue that project, and so far I've managed to photograph around 6 people in Singapore, 6 artists in Singapore. And I think beyond this year, next year, maybe I might try photographing like, I don't know, chefs or something different, other than just artists. Because I feel like every industry is sort of like a practice, and when you practice, it's sort of an art, the art of practicing.
Right, like a craft, right? Yeah. I think coming from like what you told me, especially about how certain individuals you reach out to, they don't reciprocate. But at the end of the day, you still find a motivation to go out there and try and continue that project and shoot is really what also photography, film photography is about. Because it's not always a bed of roses, right? You're bound to like make mistakes. Blank film, you know, you drop a camera, you bring your camera in the pool for some reason, you come out and you know,
Sounds
it's
like
just
Sounds very experienced.
yeah. And then, you know, and all these happen, but at the same time you kind of learn from them and then you move forward and then you kind of better yourself, right? And like I'm sure Venus also, you've had your fair share of like incidents or accidents, you know, in terms of film, and yeah, you know, we all learn. And even Haikal yourself, you know, I think with that being said, right, yeah, really film at the end of the day, it should be fun, accessible. We want to make it like accessible to a lot of people, like, you know, just really just show your friends and, you know, come and join us and stuff like that, because yeah, you know, people shouldn't feel like also exclusive. And yeah, that's a very interesting camera you have there, the Pentax 6.7. How, okay, now the question that I perhaps ask almost every like medium format photographer is that how do you go from the limitations of 35 to a limitation of 10 for you?
I've tried using this camera as a street camera before. You know, one thing is it's heavy and I'm not that fast of a photographer. I always take a while to focus and like compose and get my exposure. So I mean, for me, yeah, it really doesn't work as a street camera. But you know, some people have actually been able to use this as a street camera and their results are amazing. If you guys are interested, you should check out Ray. I think you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ray_N.
Yeah, Ray.
He shoots with this
share his photos.
this camera, and I don't know how he does it, but he gets amazing photos from it. So for me, it's more of since this camera is so slow and since it's so heavy, why not like bank on its negatives and try to do what I can do with it, you know. So for me, that would be being in one place and taking my time with the camera. So, you know, that's how I came out with the artist series as well. You know, I would have to be in one area and then I would have all the time in the world. Not really lah. See how, you know,
But like just pacing yourself.
yeah,
Pace
see
yourself,
how, you know, how much time I have, depending on the time. But, you know, I usually shoot 5 or 6 rows when I meet them. So it's not too many, it's like 40 or 50 image for like 2 or 3 hours. So, you know, definitely more intentional since it's so slow.
Yeah, but I think I like the notion of how you reiterate the fact that, you know, just really take your time. Like not take your time,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
definitely not just like shoot fast or like
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
anyhow.
Just
anyhow,
going guns blazing.
Guns blazing.
Finish.
Or just tikam. But yeah, anyway, so Joel, thank you for, you know, being with us today and like sharing your work as well and like your photos with us. You know, I think that like with that, or like with that having said, like, you know, with us being here today and the fact that like, hey, you know, we started TFI like almost
Couple of years back.
3
years
ago.
So long.
3 years.
Like 17, 18, 19, 20.
Yeah, 3 years.
I know 3, but longer like cooler lah. Okay, never mind, 3 years only. Okay, but yeah, so, and you know, we're all growing and we're all like, it has come to a point where, you know, we used to be like, always hang out with each other, but like, you know, we all have to go out and like, we have jobs and stuff, right? And like work. So yeah, you know, this is a really nice like kind of a catch-up session and an introduction to film photography and you know the topics of film in Singapore. And I hope that through this episode alone, like the viewers or like individuals will be more drawn to knowing more about film, the relevance of film, and you know the film being accessible in Singapore. And yeah, so I hope that, you know, sharing your photos and whatnot will definitely like inspire individuals. And then like surely for sure, if anyone wants to shoot film, they can always approach you. And so this is our first episode of 35, the film initiative in collaboration with Singapore Community Radio. Thank you for having us here.
Don't forget to follow us.
Yeah, I mean like follow, like, subscribe or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do the pop-up things here anymore, but yeah, we'll have 2 other episodes, so it'll be a total of 3 talking about the relevance of film and how we intend to like advocate for film photography in Singapore. So I hope you have enjoyed our first episode, and I know I wish that you'll tune in for the next one. So yeah,
Yeah.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Toodles.